the Opubco Studios in Oklahoma City, you're watching The Press Row. I'm Jenny Carlson here with Barry Trammell, and we are brought to you by Papa John's Pizza. You can go online anytime to papajohns.com and order your pizza. Let's get right to it with the inbox, Barry. We've got questions from email answered here on video. Let's start with Isaiah, a popular subject, OU football here. With Bob Stoops making so many changes at OU, what time frame do you give him to be successful before the natives get restless again and want change at the top? Is 5 minutes an acceptable time frame?
I was going to say, I think we've passed it. I think the natives are restless, and some of them want change at the top. But if you want to talk about expanding those ranks, I mean, I think Stoops is under the gun in 2015, and a lot of it stems from retaining his brother Mike. It was clear to a lot of us that the side of the ball that needed fixing the most was the defense. Bob chose to do a makeover on the offense, get rid of Josh Heupel. That puts the Stoops brothers a little bit on call. So, I mean, I think 2015 is a big year for Bob and Mike Stoops. And, you know, it seems fairly clear that Bob's not going to fire Mike. But all that's left is to sweep them both out.
Yeah, package deal in a new way. Yeah, I mean, I think that it's definitely a tenuous time for Bob Stoops, for Mike Stoops, for everybody at the top with OU football. And to me, it's not only about what's happening on the field, it's about what's happening to the field, to the stadium, that $370 million renovation project that they want to do at the stadium. I think we saw in what Bob Stoops had that press conference a week or so ago. I think a lot of the change in tone, a lot of the change in, you know, just the vibe that you got from Bob Stoops was really trying to endear people again who they need to give money. And so I think that it's not only about sort of that, but then it becomes about wins. And if they don't keep the good vibes going on the field, then the big bosses are saying, wait, how are we going to raise $370 million to renovate the stadium? David Bourne's saying that. Joe Castiglione's saying that. The regents are saying that. That becomes even more problematic for Bob Stoops. All right, back to the inbox, and Mike says, are they going to get rid of Reggie Jackson before season's end? Barry, this is a question that's been talked about a lot, but it's back, and it's back with some fervor.
My answer most of the season was no, they're not going to, but I've sort of changed.
Yep.
I mean, I've sort of come around and saying I think they likely are to trade Reggie Jackson. Now, Darnell Mayberry, Anthony Slater both said yesterday, you know what, it might come to where they just don't get enough for him to warrant a trade, so they sort of think he might stay. But the way he's playing and the way he's acting, just it's starting to become a little bit of a drudge. It's starting to become a little bit of a weight on this team and this organization. Reggie in the offseason said, you know what, I really don't want to be here. I want to run my own team. Up until at that point, he talked about it. He never really showed that. He never acted. He played valiantly, very hard, very, very strong. Not been the case this season. And at some point, you say, you know what, if you don't want to be here, we can help you out with that.
Yeah, no, I would agree with that. And I'm the same way. I mean, I think when we started talking about this and it looked like that Reggie and the Thunder weren't going to be able to get a deal done the last offseason, I really felt like they were going to do what they could to keep him around, not only this year but beyond. But now it seems like it's just not working for whatever reason. And Reggie Jackson, he's actually, and I think you'll probably agree, Reggie Jackson's, to me, one of the nicest and frankly most normal guys in the Thunder locker room. And yet there's just something that he doesn't seem to get fired up. He had a chance to run the team when Russell Westbrook's out, you know, to really show what he could do as a starting point guard. And I felt like there were times that was lacking. Now the Thunder brings in Dion Waiters, a chance, you know, a guy that could take some minutes from Reggie Jackson, and instead of bowing up and saying, I'm here, I'm going to show my worth, he sort of shrinks back into the background and only plays 15 minutes against the Jazz. Personality, it's a weird thing.
It's not working.
It's not working right now. All right, back to the inbox from Gary. He says, while watching the national championship game the other night, I couldn't help but think that both of the teams playing would not have been in that game had we still been in the BCS. It's clear to me that the biggest winner in the new system is everyone outside of SEC country. Gary makes a great point here.
I think it is an excellent point because most likely we would have had Alabama and Florida State playing in the national title game under the old BCS system. It's possible Oregon would have jumped Florida State, but that would have required a monumental jump. So I think it's likely that the teams in the championship game would not have even been in the running last year.
They'd have played the Rose Bowl, Barry.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. So I think what the ultimate point is this: it's harder than ever now for anybody to win, because you have to win 2 tough games, not just 1. So I think it is clear that it's going to be tougher for somebody like the SEC to dominate the way it did, winning every national title from 2006 through 2012.
Yeah, and you know what? I think it's going to be interesting, too. Not only the way that the national championship, the playoff turned out, but the way that the SEC didn't do so well in bowl season in general. Only 2 wins for the supposed mighty SEC West in bowl season. And I get that that's, it's different by team, but man, they had teams that were ranked at the top in the rankings get absolutely blown out by some teams. So to me, it's going to be interesting to see if there's residual. Of course, if you're a Big 12 fan, maybe you hope there's no residual, because the residual may not look real good for your conference. Big 12 only 2-5 as well. All right, let's go one more time to the inbox. And Joe, he says, Gene Steratore did it again, robbing Des Bryant of a great catch. Oh, Barry, this is the talk of the sports world. What did you think of the call?
I thought they got it right by the rule. And here's the deal: if you don't like the rule, change the rule. Don't disregard the rule. We got a lot of laws, we got a lot of rules that people don't like. Instead of ignoring them, we need to change them. And I think the officials got it right in the Dallas-Green Bay game. I think the rule says you got to maintain control going to the ground, and the way you avoid that is to make a football move, football play while you're on your feet, which then all of a sudden takes that element out of it. And I didn't think that Dez's, I think clearly Dez, when he caught the ball and came down, he was going to the ground for the next 2 steps, half a second, whatever element you want to use there to measure. I thought it was a good call. I think if you want to change the rule, I'm not even sure it's a bad rule for this reason. You got to have some rule. You got to have some parameters for the officials to follow. You can't just say, well, that looks like a catch, that doesn't look like a catch. It's fun to talk about. It's what we all do. But you can't do that when you're officiating. You got to have parameters. So if you don't like this rule, come up with another one.
Yeah, and I think the call, as the rule stands, was made correctly. I agree with Barry, but I tell you what, this all sort of makes me think about figure skating. Of all things, this makes me think of figure skating. I don't know about anybody else, but every 4 years when the Winter Olympics roll around and figure skating's on TV, I'll watch and I'll think, man, that was really good. And then the scores will come out and it'll be like a 2.5. And I don't know what the rules, I don't know what's good and what's bad. I know what my eyes see and I think that looks pretty good. And then I see the scores and it's not. That looked like a catch to me, Barry. As I watched it live, as I saw it on replay, it looked like a catch. You slow it down, you start breaking it down by minutia, and then it's suddenly not. To me, that's a little bit disconcerting. When with your live eye, you say, he caught that ball. He made a move for the end zone. He was diving for the end zone, and even when it popped out, he still caught it. It didn't hit the ground. That's a catch. I think it's troubling when your rules are so dependent on the super, super, super slow motion that you can't watch the game and know for sure what's happening. It's a little bit troubling for football in my mind. Hey, be sure to stay with the best coverage team anywhere at newsok.com and every day in the Oklahoman.